go.
All right, hello everybody, Chef Nooner here, and we are going to make some Pico de gallo. Before we get started, we'll talk just a little bit about our station setup and mise en place, that word we learned earlier today, meaning everything in its place. So what we have is our recipe, handwritten and protected in a sheet protector. We then have all of our food ingredients on a nice little sheet tray in little appropriate size containers. I go ahead and then lay them out in the order of use from my recipe here. So we've got our red onion, tomato, jalapeno. We've got a number of different size containers. You want to try to choose the most appropriate one. And I go and bring this to wherever the ingredients are, all on one little tray, so I don't make multiple trips. We want to just try to cut down or just be as efficient as we can here in the kitchen because it's a big space. I then have my workstation, and then off to the right hand side I've got my bowl that I'm going to assemble. I've got a container for some food waste. I've got a container here with water with my utensils to keep them clean and off of the workstation so we don't get our table dirty. We then have little cups here for some clean tasting spoons and dirty spoons. And then I've got a bench scraper to allow me to pick up my food items. Underneath the station, I've got a red sanitation bucket to kind of wipe down in between if necessary. And we have hot soapy water over in sanitation if needed. So once I have my station set up, and only once I have my station set up, I'm gonna go ahead and call over a chef, and the chef is gonna ask me to explain what's going on. And once I explain everything to the chef and he feels confident in my abilities, we'll then go ahead and get started on the recipe. So hopefully you've already watched the knife handling video, but we'll build off from there. I've got my red onion for this, and we're gonna go ahead and just kind of clean up and remove the skin off the outer pieces. For this recipe, the amounts might change, but what's going to be more important is just kind of the consistency in the knife work. So I've got a third of an onion here, and I'm going to go ahead and just kind of break into some smaller pieces that I can more easily work with. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut this onion into kind of 1/8-inch strips. We might call this a fine julienne. And so protecting our thumb. We are wearing gloves because this is a ready-to-eat product, and also in the era of COVID here, just want to be careful. So it is a little bit harder to grab your food with the gloves, but you're going to just try your best to get a good grip. If you need to work with one single layer of an onion, you can. So get those all stacked up. And we have our 1/8-inch strips that I'll go ahead and stack and turn. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut them into the 1/8-inch dice. And so again, we're going down and through. We're protecting our thumb, and we're cutting those as consistently as we can, laying them up nicely. It is not a race. We'd rather have it look nice than get there the fastest. Okay. Move on to the next one. Again, down and through, protect that thumb. And then once we get through, if we notice some straggling pieces, we can go ahead and move into kind of a chopping motion. What we do with that is we're going to take the top of our hand and we're going to rock the blade up and down. The knife does stay on the board the entire time. We are not drummers beating on our cutting board. So we'll go through a couple times, make sure we got everything. Move on. From there, I'm not going to use the knife to pick up my food. One, it dulls the blade itself, and two, I could potentially cut myself. So we use a nice little bench scraper here to pick up our product and to go into our bowl. We want to work with one product and one product alone on our cutting board. So we work with the red onion and then we move on. So our tomato here, I'm going to show you. We're going to go through that root end and cut it in half. From there, I like to go ahead and cut it in half again. And then with the root end towards my hand, I like to come in with the tip of the blade and just kind of rock out those inner seeds. They should just come out with one little swoop. If they don't, you can pick them up. So we want to use the tip of your blade for any sort of small or detailed work like this, not the center or the bottom of the blade. Use that tip for our fine work. Go ahead and get through those. From there, just like the red onion, we're going to cut into our 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch strips, depending upon what chef has shown you for the day. Okay. Get all those strips lined up. And it helps to be working with a sharp knife here, which it is. If your knife feels like it's dull or not cutting through, one of the best things you can do is ask chef and we'll show you how to sharpen it. But a dull knife is a dangerous knife. It may sound counterintuitive, but a sharp knife is actually a safe knife because it requires less force to get through those products. And so we have our diced tomatoes here. Okay. Use that bench scraper. Again, one product at a time. Move on to our jalapeno. For this, I'm going to go ahead and secure on the board, down and through. I'm only going to use a 1/4 for this amount for the demonstration purposes. Same thing with the jalapeno as the tomatoes. The tip of the knife, we're going to, or for this recipe, I'm going to go ahead and remove the seeds and stems, or the kind of inner parts where the heat is. If you're making this at home or for yourself, you could certainly leave that in if that's your preference. It's easiest, I find, with stuff with skins, is to have those skins on the cutting board itself. You're going to find that the knife goes through much easier than if you did it with the skin side up. The jalapeno, I'm going to work really hard to make sure that I get those nice and minced. So about a 1/16 of 32nd of an inch small. So nobody gets any big bites or pops of heat. So we have jalapeno in. Okay. And from there, our herbs, fresh cilantro here. For herbs, I find that we actually want to cut these and not chop them, and that's going to help them just from preventing to turn brown. So if I can, with an herb like cilantro, which has a soft stem, I don't mind getting a few of the stems in there. I bunch them up or bundle them up as much as I can, and then I actually cut through them as thin as I can. Try to hold on to it as tight as I can with the glove. It's a little challenging, but we can work through it. And again, you're doing down and through. The more you bash into these, like say chopping, the faster that they're going to oxidize or turn brown. So we just chop a couple times through, we can leave that pretty whole like that. And try to keep the workstation as clean as possible. From there, we're going to go ahead and start to season our mixture. This is kosher salt. We like it because you can really feel it in between your fingers and you can see it inside of the bowl. Fresh cracked black pepper. And then I've got some fresh lime juice that I juiced earlier. Just enough to kind of toss it. That acid's going to really kind of give us a little bit of a pop. We have our spoon. Go ahead and just kind of work that, and you can kind of see we've got some really lovely colors. Red from the tomato, red from the onion, green from the cilantro and jalapeno. As a chef, we do not just make something and hope it works out. We're going to taste it and confirm. To my tasting spoon. We go through a process here called TAT. It means to taste. We then analyze. We think, do I taste the tomatoes? Do I taste the jalapenos? Do I taste the cilantro? Do I taste all of those things? Okay. If I don't, if I feel like it needs a little bit of a boost, a little bit more salt, and a little bit more of our lime juice or acid to give it a little bit of a fresh pop. Once we have everything finalized, we'll go ahead and present this or plate it up however chef shows you to for the day.